Well, probably the medal of life, to be quite frank. I kind of resurrected my body and my spirit from the depths of anorexia in my early 20s. And so that'll always be, winning that battle, I guess you should say, will always be the most important battle for me. Well, first of all, I think it's important to recognize that an eating disorder is very similar to other types of addictions, whether it's alcohol addiction or, drug addiction, sex addiction. It's really a true disease, and it stems from inner pain. So I had, as I mentioned and you heard, really struggled with hating myself and self-loathing and just not wanting to be seen in this world. And so anorexia was kind of my way of figuring out how to disappear, basically. That was my goal with it. So, obviously I had a lot of healing to do on my spiritual self, on my inner self. And, after kind of hitting rock bottom, I decided to see if I could possibly get well. I didn't really honestly believe that I would get completely well, but I wanted to take some steps and just try and see if it was even possible. I had some wonderful people in my life and in my family, of course, who was just devastated by how sick I had gotten. And I really started the healing journey for them. I just wanted to give it a try. But it was a good couple-year journey of a lot of hard work. It's not easy to heal from any addiction or any inner pain for anyone, and some don't make it to the other side, right? I know a few people who have died of anorexia and obviously of drug overdoses, and you don't always make it to the other side. So I was very lucky in that sense that I was able to. But just that was the power of hard work, and I think other spiritual powers at work too that just kind of kept driving, so that I could eventually have a voice for the animals. And that was much later, obviously, but I believe that's why I survived it and then began to thrive. I do feel very mission-driven, very purpose-driven. It just feels good to get up every morning when you know that you're doing something that is for the good. And not just for the good of yourself, but for the good of others and for the good of the world. I mean, you also wake up some days and just think, it's not working, I'm not making an impact, I'm not doing enough. Like, we still have that aspect of where we self-berate, and we're negative on ourselves. But at the end of the day, it's just, I can't imagine living any other way. I think that's a multi-layered question. I think just recognizing we have a choice. We have a choice every single day. We have a choice every single minute, no matter what your circumstances are. We do have a choice to move towards what is good and what's right and what's fair and what's just, and move away from things that aren't justice, right? Aren't justice for all and are negative and are bad. And so, I mean, that's really where the power comes from, right? It's just recognizing you have a choice. I think so many of us feel like we're just in this space, in this sphere, and it just is what it is, and you don't really have a choice. And to me, I believe that's where the true power lies within, of knowing you have that choice. Yeah, well, I went to school for journalism, and I think looking back, I may have really enjoyed. Sports journalism, but I didn't know that at the time. I wasn't an athlete, and I just wasn't even aware that as much about that whole world. But I thought I wanted to do really hard news, like be on the street beat and tell people what's happening. But after I did an internship in a TV station in Philadelphia in hard news, I very quickly realized that much of our news is controlled by big business, mostly, which then is kind of the government. But I mean, I was just an intern, so I wasn't privy to all the inner meetings, but I just knew we were seeing some really great stuff and covering some really great stories, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's just been killed, and it's on the newsroom floor. So after that, I was like, this is not gonna, work for me, and I don't really care too much about weather patterns, so I'm not gonna do the weather. So I just took an exit from that whole career path. So. Yeah, it was really hard because that's what I had just spent 4 years studying in school and what I thought I was going to do and what I thought I was going to become. So it was a really just a disheveling time because I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? I was already in debt from college, and so I didn't really want to go back into more debt and go study something else in school. So I kind of had to put it together and try to figure it out. So that's kind of where the modeling came in. I did a little bit of that, but I was at that period of time starting to get very sick from my eating disorder. So that quickly turned into that spiral for a while until I was able to begin to climb out of that. Yeah, I decided, I guess I did decide to change my life. I mean, at the time, I don't think that I knew it was that definitive, but I started walking down my healing path. I saw multiple therapists before I found the right one that I really connected with, and we spent a long time working really hard, 3-4 days a week for a good couple years. And so it was such a journey of self-realization and uncovering so much of what had been. I just couldn't ever connect with why I was in so much pain, and so she was able to help me understand that and be able to recognize when I was in pain and where that was in my body and be able to process through that. And it was a meditative type of awareness therapy that she did specifically. But towards the end of that process, when I was much, much, much better, she really wanted me to be able to kind of move my body in a healthy way again, which I hadn't been able to do for a long time, and asked me to pick a sport just for fun. And I just chose the bicycle because I live in Los Angeles and it's sunny and beautiful, and we have mountains and ocean, and so I just thought that sounded really, really freeing and really fun to pick up cycling. So anyway, that's how I picked it, and I'm glad I picked it and not some other sport that I never would have made it to the Olympics in, like gymnastics or something like that. It would not have happened at my age, but it just, that's a meant to be type of situation, I think, that I picked that.